Everybody can see my slides? Yep, great. And also, we are recording this session, so it will be posted on our department website probably by the end of the week is what I'm imagining it will go up. So if you missed something tonight, you can always go back and listen, rewatch. We also have with us this evening Dr. Yu-Kyung Bae. Thanks for joining us. Dr. Bae is the chair of our Undergraduate Studies Committee, and we also have Ms. Maria Roth, who is our undergraduate advisor. So there's a few people here to answer questions for you. I've prepared some slides. This is the first of 3 sessions we're hosting to help prepare you and answer any questions you might have about applying, using CSDCAS, applying to graduate school, etc. So tonight is the first session, and kind of referring to it as preparing to apply. Probably a lot of you have already started your applications, but hopefully some of this information tonight will help you with that. A week from tonight will be session 2, and that will be hosted by Dr. Eric Bielfeld, and he's going to be talking to you about letters of recommendation. 2 weeks from now, session 3, will be Dr. Janet Weisenberger, who will be talking to you about personal statements. So that gives you a little bit of an overview of what we're going to be doing. And then I'll also mention that for both the MA-SLP program and the audiology program, we will be hosting an in-person prospective student visitation on Friday, October 6th. And if I can see my screen, I think it starts at 3:30 in the afternoon. And so that'll be here at Ohio State. The audiology visitation will be in Pressey Hall, and the speech language pathology visitation will be in Scott Hall, which is just right next door to us. All right, so you guys ready to get started? Yes. All right, so topics for tonight, we're going to briefly mention GRE scores, other than to say we're not going to mention them. Number 2, I'm going to just give you a little overview of what the application review process looks like. Number 3, we'll spend some time talking about navigating CSDCAS, or our centralized application system. We'll talk about the OSU supplemental application, and then finally application fee waivers. I think Dr. Bae and Ms. Roth are going to be monitoring the chat. So if any questions come up, or if you want to raise your hand and ask them in the chat or ask them live, either way, great. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so GRE scores, the long and the short of it is that we no longer require GRE scores as part of your application. The university doesn't require it, nor do we here in the department. So you don't have to submit them. If you do submit them to CSDCAS, we will be able to see them in your application, but we do not use them to evaluate your application. So long and short of it, for Ohio State, you don't have to worry about the GRE. So that one's easy. Okay, so the application review process. So who reviews your application? So that's a great question that I asked myself. So that is, the application reviews are done by the faculty in the department. So we have, I don't know, 15 or so faculty members across the board. It's more than that. It's more like 20 between audiology and speech, but there's an audiology committee and there's a speech committee, and we each evaluate all applications that come in for each of those 2 programs. So each application is reviewed by a minimum of 2, sometimes 3 faculty members to get an overall rating of a student's application. So it's the faculty in the department. What are the reviewers looking for? Well, in general, we are looking for things like your academic aptitude, so that, and your scholarly contributions. I was going to pull up something really quick. Hang on. I'm sorry I didn't have this already. I got sidetracked. I got a little panicked because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to log on. So give me just a second because I want to refer to something. Sorry, it should be open. Here it is. Okay, so what are reviewers looking for? So I mentioned academic aptitude and demonstration of scholarship. So those are things like your GPA, the courses that you've taken, the types of courses that you have taken. What was your major? Was it speech and hearing? If it was a different major, which is completely okay, we have a lot of students that come to us from other majors like psychology or linguistics. We look at the courses you've taken there, but we also look at, have you taken the prerequisites for graduate school? What was your performance in those courses? Things of that nature. Demonstration of scholarship, that's things like, have you been in, did you maybe get involved in a research lab, or have you done a thesis, or have you taken on a project that is outside your classes? Have you studied abroad? Things of that nature. So, it's a wide range of things. It's not just one number of your GPA. It's more holistic than that. We look at your letters of recommendation and who has written those letters and what do they have to say about you and what do they have to say about your potential for graduate education. Things that we're looking for. Yukyung, I'm sorry, I saw your hand raise. Were you going to say something?
No, sorry, I was here.
Sorry, a little distracted. But we're also, looking for, what are the reasons why you want to become a speech language pathologist or an audiologist? What are the characteristics about you and your personality that make you unique? Are you able to demonstrate that you're able to be flexible, to be adaptable, to be resilient, and to be a person who wants to serve a wide variety of people and different lived experiences? So, when you think about why you want to become a speech pathologist or audiologist, think about what are the things that make you unique and how you envision yourself practicing as a clinician. And I think that will speak to what the reviewers are looking for. We're trying to get at more of your personality and what makes you you and what makes you unique, rather than just simply, oh, this is what you got in this one course. That's only one piece of who you are. So I can expand on that. Also, when the third session, when Dr. Weisenberger talks, she'll talk more specifically about how to craft a personal statement or responses to our essay prompts. That'll help you in terms of what reviewers are looking for. And then how are admissions decisions made? We go through this review process. We look for these different attributes, like academic aptitude, leadership, evidence of leadership, demonstration of scholarship, things of that nature. And then each application gets 2 to 3 ratings, and then we rank order those ratings, and then we go through and discuss all of the applications, and then we make decisions on how many people we can offer admission to fill our class sizes. So that's kind of an overview of what the admissions process looks like. So hopefully it's no longer a black box to you, that there is a lot of time and effort that goes into reviewing and discussing applications. Pause for a second. Any questions about that? I don't see anything in the chat, so I'll continue. I'm trying not to speed through this, so I'll give you the opportunity to ask questions if you want. Okay, so the next slide is starting the discussion of navigating CSDCAS. So CSDCAS is our centralized application system that we use for your application. So first of all, just a reminder what our deadlines are. The deadline for CSDCAS for domestic students, so students who are US citizens, is December 15th. And if you're an international student, the deadline is November 15th. Then once your CSDCAS application is complete and verified, it will trigger OSU to send you an invitation to complete the OSU supplemental application. So there's 2 applications. The first is CSDCAS, that has to be complete and verified. Then OSU will send you an email with a link to complete the OSU supplemental application, which is much shorter, much more brief. It asks primarily for your demographic information, whereas the CSDCAS application is where you submit all your grades, your resume, your letters of rec, etc. So the OSU supplemental application is due January 15th. So if you haven't received an email from Ohio State with a link to the supplemental application by January 1st, you're going to want to check and make sure, or you're going to want to look into that. You're going to want to reach out and make sure that your CSDCAS application was complete. You're going to want to do that before, but nonetheless. So those are your general deadlines. One of the things that we want to ensure that everybody on this call is very clear about is that you have to ensure that your application status says in CSDCAS complete or verified by December 15th, by our deadline. So it's going to say complete first. As long as it says complete, everything is complete inside your application, you're golden. It will later turn to verified. Sometimes the verification process takes a little bit longer. So the verification or verified status can happen after December 15th, but it has to say complete on December 15th. Otherwise, it's incomplete and your application won't be reviewed. So pay attention to your email. As you're going to see, that's one of the very last slides in this presentation on helpful hints. Monitor your email. Watch out for notifications for missing information in your CSDCAS application. Oh no, I'm sorry. Notifications for missing information are not sent. So it's really your responsibility to monitor CSDCAS to ensure that your application is complete by the deadline. And yeah, there you go. I'm just making sure I could see all of my slides. So we don't send you notifications to let you know that your application is not complete. That is your responsibility. Okay. All right. So we've got our deadlines. Hitting it hard that you need to watch for your status. Make sure it turns complete by December 15th. Yes, Dr. Bay.
Just a quick, maybe a comment about, oh, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, so just quick comment about deadlines. So CSDCAS actually says December 15, but then it also actually asks each student to submit your material a few weeks before the deadline to make sure everything gets received, right? And it's okay for the letter writers to submit by the deadline, December 15. So you don't have to be in your panic mode when the letters have not been submitted. It's like December 13, and if 13, I would start worrying about it. Like, where is my letter? But I would not start worrying about it like when the letter is not in by December 1st. And that's completely fine. And your letter writers will submit the letter by the deadline.
Yeah, great point. Faculty get a lot of requests for letters of recommendation. That is part of what we do. But oftentimes, like, I tend to write my letters in early December. But once I submit a letter to CSDCAS, it's automatically there. There's no verification process. The verification process is really about your grades your courses and grades that you enter are verified against your transcripts. So that's the verification process in CSDCAS. So yeah, great point. Thank you, Dr. Bay. Transcripts. So it is important that you submit official transcripts for all college level coursework that you've completed. If you've only been at one institution, fantastic, one transcript. But say you started at a community college, you completed your first couple of years at a community college and then you transferred to a 4-year college to finish. That means 2 official transcripts. So those official transcripts must be received by CSDCAS. You send them to CSDCAS. We had a question submitted to Ms. Roth. Our OSU advising reports, is that the same as a transcript? No, it's not. It has to be an official transcript, so you have to request those from your universities or colleges that you have attended. And even if you just went somewhere maybe over the summer and took 1 course, if you got college credit, you have to submit that transcript. So sometimes students submit like 2 or 3 official transcripts, and that's just what you have to do. So those are sent to CSDCAS, not to Ohio State. Don't send us any transcripts. We don't know what to do with them. Courses on your advising report, if you're an Ohio State student, that it's the same courses on your transcript, exact same thing. So that was one of the questions that was submitted earlier. Another question that was submitted earlier was, when should I submit my transcripts? Should I wait until I get my grades? No, don't wait. Go ahead and submit your transcripts now. Order them and submit them, because what you can do, CSDCAS allows you to do an academic update at the end of fall semester. So once your fall grades have been posted, you could go into CSDCAS and do an academic update. And there's a whole section in CSDCAS that explains how to do that. Okay. So when you're entering all your courses into CSDCAS, all courses must have a grade. So you either have to choose a grade, or you have to choose pass, fail, or satisfactory, unsatisfactory. You can't leave that blank. If the course is in progress or planned, so if you're entering your courses now, you're obviously taking courses now. So you would list that course and then enter in progress or select that option. You would also enter courses that you have planned for spring semester. So say, one of the last courses that a lot of our students, undergrad students, take is Introduction to Oral Rehabilitation. And that's usually one of the last courses that they take in spring semester. So you would put that in, because we need to see that you've taken that, and then you would put planned for spring semester. So all courses have to have a grade, even whether it's satisfactory or unsatisfactory or pass fail. If it's in progress or planned, enter that information. What about autumn semester grades? What do you do about that? Complete an academic update. And we recommend that you do that. CSDCAS recommends that you do that as well. One of the things that it does is shows your faculty reviewers that you've completed those courses and how you've performed in those courses. So it's a good idea to do that academic update. But again, don't wait to submit your transcripts, because your application will never be complete or in time for that December 15th deadline. Okay.
Dr. Wu, can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
So there was a question that was directed at me, and the question says, is it recommended to enter the transcript by hand? I believe I saw there was an option to pay for them to be done on CSDCAS. So do you have like a specific instruction on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. You can do either. I know that I'm going to pull it up right now because I was looking at this yesterday. Our
Registrar.
intrepid Sarah Wendell, who's not with us this evening, has some recommendations for this on her website. And let me just pull it up really quick, because you can do that. Let me see what she had. Okay, so if you use the professional transcript entry service, you must approve the work completed by the service. So that's the key part of it. So if you don't want to do it, you want to pay a service to do it, by all means, you can do that. But the kicker is that what happens is students will pay that transcript entry service to do that for them, but then not go in and do like a final approval. So it's like a missed step. So failure to go in and do that approval results in your application being incomplete, and then we don't review it. So Ms. Wendell has had this happen with students in numerous cycles, in past admission cycles. So now she has like this whole section on our website to point that out to you. So it's up to you on whether or not you want to spend the money to do that, but just be sure that you go in and do that final approval.
So Maria left a comment that she thinks a lot of students do the manual entry, which is why there were questions about using the advising report for the entry information.
Okay.
I believe it's mandatory,
same.
necessary, right? But like they can enter manually, but I think the official transcripts are required elements for the
Yes.
CSDCAS. Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's both. It's both. I've long thought that this is a little redundant, that you have to enter in your courses and your grades and submit your transcripts, because isn't your transcripts exactly what you entered? It should be, right? But yes, they require you to do both.
Right. I don't mean that they're saying the advising report instead of the official, just that when they're doing like the data entry, like today, they haven't maybe ordered the official transcript yet. So they're just making sure that the information matches up to the actual transcript.
Yep. I think the actual transcript probably looks a lot like the advising report.
It does from what I've seen.
Yeah. Some information.
Sorry. I please, Dr. Rube, please complete your sentence. I have a follow-up, a few additional questions that came through.
Cool.
So,
I don't remember what my thought was, so go ahead.
So, another question. If you want to submit your application soon, do you have to wait for your spring schedule in order to mark them as in progress, or can you go back and update?
That's probably in the academic update. You could just mark planned. You're not going to be in progress with your spring courses. So you should know what your spring courses are by now, I would imagine, and just enter them as planned courses.
Thank you. And then
I see some stuff happening in the chat. Go ahead, Dr. Bay, or do you want me to read this?
You can read Ashley's question.
Is there a specific option to input AP credit from high school courses? So my answer on this is, if you received college credit for an AP course, it's going to show up on your college transcript. It has to be on your college transcript. I don't think there is a specific option for AP credit that is only high school credit. Does that make sense?
I was just wondering, since it matches what we input manually to our transcript, if there was, right, instead of a course grade or the in progress or planned option, if there was an AP option, or what we should select if we're inputting courses that we received credit for from high school but didn't actually take at Ohio State.
As long as you received college credit for it, there should be a place for you to be able to say that. Have you started doing this yet?
No, I haven't.
No. Has anyone started entering their grades yet?
I actually looked at it, and there's an option for a grade that you could do like CR, which is just like credit. And I just put in like the class that it was like substituted for, like bio, and then that I got credit for. And then I saw online that you just put like CR for credit.
Okay,
perfect. Ashley, answering a question for Ashley. Thank you. Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's exactly what I thought it would be, but it's helpful for someone who's actually seen it to answer that question. So Madeline Gibson asked about pass-fail courses. If you passed it, you just put a P for pass. Yep. Exactly. Any other questions in the chat that I missed? Okay, cool. All right, so let's go on. Okay, navigating CSDCAS and your GPA. So starting off easy, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, or pass-fail courses. I'm sure you guys know this, they don't contribute to your GPA. They're not included, but you have to enter them into CSDCAS anyway, just to show that you got credit for those courses. One of the things that's important for y'all to remember about CSDCAS is they calculate your GPA in a different way than probably you expect. So if you only have a single institution, if you've only gone to, say, Ohio State or to Ohio University or University of Cincinnati is just one 4-year college, then it's pretty easy because then your GPA is just based on that one transcript. But what happens with CSDCAS, if you've gone to multiple institutions, they will use all of your grades to contribute to that GPA. So they'll use grades from a community college, a 4-year college, that one class you took at summer at home, that gets entered into your GPA. So a lot of times students will report their GPA as what it is currently at their current institution, but then in CSDCAS, it ends up being something slightly different because of all those other courses. So CSDCAS will calculate your GPA in a couple of different ways. It'll calculate an overall GPA based on all college credit courses you've entered into your application. And then it gives year level GPAs. So it breaks it down into what your GPA was when you were a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And then it does it by subject category as well. So it gives us a lot of information about your GPA. So, but I wanted to point that out because sometimes students have said to me, this is my GPA. Like, well, yes, this is your current GPA at your current institution, but CSDCAS is going to take that and it's going to add to it and calculate it. And there's a whole section on the CSDCAS website that explains how they calculate the GPA. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't quite understand what they did. It was a little bit confusing. So if you're confused by it, I'm confused by it too. But the main point is they use all of your courses to calculate that GPA. So that's the point I wanted to get at. And then if you happen to withdraw from a course that you were failing at the time, that does get entered as a failing grade, and that will contribute to your GPA, which that I think is a little unfortunate that they do that because you withdrew from the class, so it shouldn't count towards your GPA. But nonetheless, I just saw something pop up in the chat. One new message. Should we adjust our GPA on our resume to fit the CSDCAS one? Would there be any issue with the discrepancy? It's not a bad idea to, if there's a bit of a difference between the CSDCAS and your current GPA, and if you see that, I would adjust it on your resume, because there have been times where I've reviewed applications and I'm like, these GPAs don't match. But then I thought about it. I'm like, well, that's because the student is reporting what they currently have, and CSDCAS has calculated something slightly different. So it's not a bad idea to do that. Or if you're going to report your current GPA, say that GPA based on, my last 2 years at Ohio State or something like that. And then, that makes it clear to the reviewer that, that, or it just makes it clear to the reviewer what GPA you're referring to. So that's a great question. What GPA is mainly taken into account? So we look at your overall GPA for sure. That's a whole holistic picture of your academic history. But then we look at your speech and hearing courses. So we look at your speech and hearing or communication sciences and disorders GPA. Because for many students, the in-major GPA is better than their overall GPA, and that's a very common thing. So we look at those. We look at it holistically. So I wouldn't say that one takes precedent over the other. I think we look at them both. Yeah. Okay, we cover everything on GPA? I think so. Cool. Okay, that brings us to the OSU supplemental application. So this is your second application. It happens after your CSDCAS application is complete, and then that triggers Ohio State to send you an email with a link for your supplemental application. And the kicker here is they use the email address that you entered into CSDCAS. So if you're navigating two different email accounts, be sure you're monitoring both. Because some, I have a personal email account and I have my work email account, and maybe you guys have the same thing. But whatever email address you enter into CSDCAS is the email address that you'll get this link sent to. So be sure you're watching for that. When will I receive the supplemental email? When will I receive the supplemental application email from OSU? After your CSDCAS application reaches the verified status. So it reaches complete first, then verified, then you'll get the email from Ohio State. Just said that. When is it due? January 15th, 2024. If you haven't received that email from OSU by January 1st, check your CSDCAS application and just see where it stands, because it might be still at the complete stage and not verified. So once it hits verified, then you'll get that email. Okay, so I don't have anything else there. So that's the supplemental application. No questions about that. It's pretty easy. Just don't forget to do it because you have to do that, or else we can't admit you. Okay, one of the last topics are fee waivers. So this is something that you should pay attention to. CSDCAS offers fee waivers for income-based. So depending on your income, you can get a fee waiver, and service-based, which is based on being a McNair Scholar. So the thing about CSDCAS is these fee assistance or fee waivers are first come, first serve. So you have to apply for them immediately if it's something that you feel you're qualified for. And on the CSDCAS website, there's a whole section on who's eligible for fee waivers. Just to note that it covers the initial application fee only. So with CSDCAS, as I'm sure you guys are aware, you have an initial application fee of $139 for the first program you apply to. And then every other program in CSDCAS you apply to is an additional $56. This fee waiver only covers the initial $139. But if you get it, you just saved $139. So first come, first serve. So if you feel like you might be eligible, I'd encourage you to apply for that immediately. The OSU supplemental application is $60 for domestic applicants and $70 for international applicants. You can apply for a fee waiver based on a number of different categories. I've listed a couple. So SROP students, these are students who participate in a summer research opportunity program, McNair Scholars, applicants with economic disadvantage. There's a whole bunch of different categories. I didn't list them all, but I put in the link there. So it's on the graduate admissions website. If you just go to the OSU website and type in graduate admissions fee waivers, that'll pop up. So those are available. So if you feel like you fall into one of those categories or are eligible, you should absolutely apply for them. Because applying to graduate school is expensive. Okay. So these are some of the submitted questions that came earlier. Some we've already answered, but we'll start with the first one. What if the subject of course taken doesn't match the subjects in CSDCAS? Well, my answer to that is just do your best, actually. So The example that was given was, what if I take a disability studies course? We have a disability studies minor here at Ohio State, and a lot of our students take that minor, but there's no category. You can see these are the different categories. I pulled this from CSDCAS. These are the different categories that courses are kind of categorized into. So you have biology, life science, communication sciences and disorders, math, physical science, etc. So for something like disability studies, I would put that into social and behavioral science. So if you're unsure, you have a course that you think doesn't perfectly match, just give it your best guess, is what I can tell you. There's going to be some that are just not a perfect match, but that's okay. Disability studies is taught within the social and behavioral sciences, so that's a good place for it. What if I've completed more than one minor? So one of the features of the CSDCAS application is that you can enter a major and a second major or a minor. And what if you've completed 2 minors? Well, you get to only choose one that to enter into that slot. But what I would say, if you have a second minor, highlight that on your resume, that this is my major, this is my first minor, this is my second minor. But then you can also talk about that when you write your essay personal statement. So you can mention that you've had multiple minors, and that is part of what makes you and unique and qualified for graduate, or maybe not qualified is the right word, but a good candidate for graduate education. So there's ways to handle that. So pick the minor that you want to emphasize or to show up first, and then mention the second or third minor if you have it. That's the best way to handle that. Do I need to submit transcripts for AP courses? We already covered that one. The answer is no. As long as you have college credit, you can enter that course and just say that you received credit for it. Courses graded SU. I'm not sure what the question on what that was. We've already talked about that, but I think it's just, do you enter that? You absolutely do. You enter that course and just say if it's an S at Ohio State is satisfactory. At other institutions, it might be P for pass. What about AP courses? Oh, I wrote that twice. Well, we won't answer it a third time. Okay. That was about a half hour of me just talking. So other questions? All right. Well, since I am a faculty member, I can't help but give advice. And my advice to all of you here is to be sure that you read the instructions on our website for applying to the 2 programs very thoroughly. Ms. Wendell has done a really great job of updating our website and has put really valuable information in there. And it's all there. You just have to take the time to read it. I would also encourage you to read the CSDCAS applications thoroughly. There's really great help pages on the CSDCAS website, so take advantage of those as well. Give yourself plenty of time. So you're here, so you're already starting this process. So thumbs up, but shoot for getting that application, all the components that you're responsible for complete before December 1st is a really great advice, I think, because it's one less thing for you to worry about. It allows that time. It's what Dr. Bay was referring to earlier. Even the CSDCAS website suggests that you have everything complete like about 4 weeks ahead of the deadline. So that would be mid-November. I can't emphasize this enough, but monitor your email. Okay, so whatever email address that you're using, whether it's your university email or if it's your private email, monitor your email for messages. We've had just a lot of situations where things happen in an emergency at the last minute because students didn't see the email originally. More importantly, probably than monitoring your email is monitoring your application status. So making sure that it's complete by December 15th. So just plan to check that, put a reminder in your calendar that on December 15th, you go in and check your application status to ensure that it's complete. And if on December 10th, it's not complete because a missing letter, that's okay. Give your faculty member a little bit of time we all know when those deadlines are, believe me. So we know to get those letters submitted. If it's December 13th, yeah, you can tweak your faculty member or whoever's writing your letter for you. So verify your letters have been submitted, verify that your application status is complete. Okay. We don't do that. We don't monitor your application status. So that's up to you. All right. Last call for burning questions. I don't see anything else in the chat.
Can I add a comment?
Yeah.
So, well, probably we already have seen this during this session. Ashley asked a question, the other Ashley answered, and a lot of your peers are applying at the same time. There's no secret. And I think it's not a bad idea to sort of share some information among friends, your peers. Oh, what did you do? I did this. And unless like you see you are the only outlier, I believe people have some general rule of thumb, and it's not a bad idea to get some basic information from your peers. Like there are certain questions that I may not be the best person to answer. Dr. Root may not be the best person, Maria either, but like your peers may have the perfect answer for those questions. So it's a good sort of process or practice to really kind of talk to your peers and kind of share information, because that's what you're going to do when you come to grad school.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. Yeah, I would really encourage all of you also to attend the next 2 sessions. I think Dr. Bielefeld will have great information for you about letters of recommendation. And then Dr. Weisenberger is just a fantastic source of information and wisdom, especially when it comes to writing your personal statements or responding to our different essay prompts. And those have been updated. So she'll have some great advice for you. But again, I'll just go back and reiterate that when you're thinking about how to answer those questions, think about answering to really show us who you are and to describe your experiences and kind of what makes you you, because that's really helpful to us. Last call. It's almost 7:15, so I don't want to keep you guys too long. All right. Well, you'll see on the screen, you have my contact information, my email address, roop.2. You have Dr. Bay's email address, bay.180. I think you all have, if you're an OSU student, you have Miss Roth's information as well. She's on our website. But, reach out to us if you have any questions. That's what we're here for. So don't hesitate. All right. Well, that's all I have for you. So enjoy your evening. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
You're welcome.